Okay, going home. This weekend, I was having a conversation with a friend, and among the topics that we discussed was the idea of making decisions. As humans, we have to make decisions on a daily basis. We make thousands of decisions per day. What time are we going to wake up? What are we going to wear to work? What are we going to have for breakfast? Which route am I going to take to work? So many different things to decide. But of course, some decisions are a little bit harder than others. I was telling my friend that sometimes decisions just have to be made without thinking too much about it. When I was in college, I had several professors and several mentors who taught me the different techniques of making decisions. One of the techniques that has always worked for me is that of making a chart and putting the pros and cons about either of the decisions that we have to make. But ultimately, the decision has to be executed. Of course, there's a saying that goes, not to decide is to decide. So that's an option also. About 4 years ago, I was having a conversation with a friend who is much younger than I am, and he was telling me that his wife was thinking of becoming a counselor and going back to school to getting her counseling degree. But, the time was not right. Their children were very young, and he gave me several reasons why it was not a good time. And my suggestion was, sometimes you just have to make the decision and just do it. That very same weekend, he called me and he told me that his wife had decided that she was going to go to school to get her counseling certificate. That was 4 years ago, and this is his wife's second year as being a counselor. Sometimes when we think things through too much, we freeze and we don't decide. But again, not to decide is to decide. In my life, I have been in that position so many times. For example, many years ago, I was in a job that I really enjoyed and I was very happy, but I knew that it was not the best place for me to be for my family. I wasn't making a lot of money, and as much as I enjoyed it, I knew that I had to move. So for about 5 years, I thought about it and I thought about it, and I made so many charts trying to decide whether I should leave or not. But there's always the fear of so many things. What if the other job doesn't work out? What will people think? Will I be disappointing people if I leave? So many things to think about. But then one Sunday evening, I was having a conversation with my mom, and I was telling her, that I had been thinking about this. And she said, well, you've been thinking about it long enough. You just have to do it. So that same night, I called someone about a new job. They called me Monday morning that they had a job for me. And by the end of the week, I was in my new position. And yes, some people were disappointed that I left. And yes, I left a job that I loved a lot. But I ended up in a job that I love even more. And obviously it was a much better financial situation for my family. Sometimes fears, sometimes worries about what might happen keep us from making decisions. But ultimately, as much as advice as we get from people, as many charts as we make, the decision has to be executed. And sometimes the decisions have to be executed without putting too much thought into it. Just do it. Just saying. My goodness.